This is Caravaggio and the Baroque, as told with the work of the musicians, finished in 1597. Michelangelo Merisi Caravaggio moved to Rome in the 1590s, while Europe was in the midst of religious turmoil on a scale not seen for centuries. The Protestant Reformation had exploded across the continent, and the Catholic Church had desperately launched the Counter-Reformation to combat the growing sedition. The Church was expanding and trying to fill their new churches with art able to counter Protestantism's draw of simplicity, and in this spirit our young artist's painting style immediately captured the eye of a Cardinal Francesco Maria del Monte. Cardinal del Monte ended up commissioning dozens of works from the young painter, but the first of them all was exactly what is before your very eyes. The Musicians was finished in 1597, 1 year before the Edict of Nantes. Caravaggio was at the beginning of a larger moment across art forms, the Baroque. The Baroque period ended at different times in different places, but officially came to a close with Bach's death in 1750. It influenced architecture, sculpture, theater, music, and of course painting. Across forms, the period was characterized by drama, grandeur, and unprecedented complexity to induce a sense of awe in the audience. Michelangelo Merisi Caravaggio's innovative style, his bold use of chiaroscuro, the intense contrast between light and shadow, and his unprecedented naturalism helped bring the revolution to painting. The Musicians demonstrates many of the principal characteristics of Baroque painting. The Baroque saw the arrival of more detailed, realistic portrayals of the human form with more emotion on every face. Observe the slightly open mouths, pay attention to the contouring of the foremost character's back, the slight imperfections in each boy's hairstyles, each character's looser angles. This all culminates to create a more natural, less stiff feeling. Now, paintings were typically asymmetrical, with action depicting on the peripheries and in the background as well as the foreground, in an attempt to capture reality's movement. People were depicted as active in an attempt to harness the energy of life. There was often even a liveliness in the objects, which were often depicted as not fully at rest, especially with clothes. Caravaggio pioneered this. He broke open tradition by painting from live models, foregoing sketching and going straight to canvas, and it shows. This painting is full of activity at all angles. Look at how the winged figure in the background is in the middle of eating grapes, and how the boy behind the lute player is in the middle of shifting his position. The sheet music besides the boy whose back is turned to us is not yet settled, and the violin near the bottom of the frame looks like it's about to be picked back up. These are characters in motion, a scene in the middle of the action. Some of their positions may look uncomfortable at first glance, but they are simply depicted as shifting, a far cry from the static stances and unnatural focuses of the paintings we saw from the Renaissance. In general, a bolder use of colors and contrast, including the aforementioned chiaroscuro, finished the effect of nearly tangible liveliness that Baroque artists used to shock, stimulate, and move their audiences. In this example, notice how much the red cloth pops against the paleness of skin and shining white of cloth. Observe, too, how the use of shadows gives a sense of drama and palpable reality to the work. Now, in the sign of the Church's influence and of the growing market of intellectuals, another characteristic of the Baroque was that paintings were often allegorical in nature, filled with hidden symbolism. That winged boy in the background, for example, is commonly thought to be Cupid, and it is understood that this painting is designed to portray that music and love are intertwined as two of the principal God-given joys of life. Now, notice that this is merely a starting point for Caravaggio's work, and Baroque painting in general. His figures are still idealized, like in the Renaissance. Later on, he would use a aging prostitute to depict the Virgin Mary, and that caused quite an uproar for departing from idealized religious figures and trying to reach something more real. It's also still missing a bit of drama. While chiaroscuro is present, it isn't overpowering, as in the tenebrism that came later, a style of bolder contrast between light and dark that he essentially invented. Now, this is a good starting point, as from here, it is commonly thought and understood and accepted that Caravaggio went on to start the form known as modern painting.